All right. So today we actually have the current senior vice president for the San Diego Padres for corporate partnerships, a Cal State Long Beach alum like myself, Mr. Sergio Del Prado. Sergio, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a day in our franchise with the press conference and announcing of a long-term contract that'll keep Manny Machado as a career-long Padre. Added to our other stars. It's a good day in San Diego, good day in our spring training facility, and excited for the season to get started.
Yeah, with the new signing of Manny, everything's going to be exciting right now. You guys had a great season last one, and I can only project you guys having better and more exciting seasons coming forward.
Yeah, last season was sort of the tipping point we feel, and you know beat some really good teams to get to the NL Championship Series. Beat two teams that won 100 games. I don't think anybody in baseball had done that. Um, Knocking off I think 103 win Mets and the 111 win Dodgers, and then unfortunately succumbing to the Phillies, which was the only team in the National League that had fewer wins than we did that were in the playoffs. But I think we sort of peaked at that Dodger series, and it's natural. That's like first time you beat your big brother or you beat your dad or your sister or whatever in the team kind of not really a letdown, but just weren't able to stay at that performance level that we had for the first two series. So I think they learned from that, and this year, getting to the postseason isn't the goal. Getting to the NLCS isn't the goal, but being the last team standing is the goal, and we'll see. I mean, a lot can happen, and it's a 162 6 month long season. So
You never know, right? All right, and Sergio, so let's just start off. Can you give me a kind of like a brief summary of yourself, your role, and what your primary responsibilities are at the Padres?
yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm senior vice president of corporate partnership. What that entails is all of our corporate relationships, basically business relationships. So sponsorship, but also our media, our rights holders, working with our TV rights holder and our radio rights holders, working with Major League Baseball with our digital assets, and then that's the core of it. But just based on my background and how long I've been around, just advising and helping out wherever I can on any part of the business.
Yeah, with your long history within the sports industry, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of insights to kind of help with the team as far as to proceed on with the future.
Definitely have a lot of opinions. um, Whether they're insights or not, that I would hope they would be, but not always taken that way. But yeah, I mean, it's I've been incredibly fortunate to never having worked a day in my life. I got lucky out of school, was kicking around, got started in sports, and 30 some odd years later, I'm still in it, and still loving every moment of every day. Well, I wouldn't say every moment of every day. That would be a little Pollyannish, but loving, loving every day for sure. And find consider myself blessed to have been able to make a career, had a good livelihood, and have fun doing it.
Having fun while you're working is always one of the best things to do.
Whether it's fun or not, but being passionate about what you do, whatever it is, I think is super important, and it's hard to fake. Like you could fake it for a while, but I think at the end of the day, the passion comes across, whether it's a job interview or whether it's your job performance or whatever it is. I do think that the passion, and not necessarily for the sport. Like I've worked in some sports that I wasn't necessarily passionate about that sport prior to going into the role where I was, but I was passionate about the business of the sport and passionate about, you know, making things as good as possible. And then you become passionate about the sport because you become passionate about the people you work with, the people that are on the field, that are performing. the fan base and the fans that are, paying money and to come out and watch the game. So I think if you don't, then you're probably missing some things.
Yeah, you gotta stay passionate about it, especially in this industry. Um, so entering this industry, what are some key lessons that you've learned from working within the sports industry?
I mean, it's um, it's a huge industry, but it's a really small group of people. I mean, so I think um, relationships is the most important thing, whatever role you're in, whatever department you're in, building relationships internally, externally. Um, for me with our partners, but also internally with staff, with people, with other teams, with people at the league office. Um, like, especially as you're coming up in your career, you never know who's going to have what role that's going to play an important role for you later on in your career, or give you that next opportunity. So building relationships, maintaining relationships, and they can't be transactional. They have to be authentic. They have to be, you kind of have to care about people to succeed in this business, I think. Um, and I think just making sure that it's not always when you check in with somebody, it's not always for an ask. That sometimes you're checking in just to check in and see how they're doing. Like it's not. So it's I think that's really important, and it is a kind of a small world, and people turn up places where you would least expect it. And um, someone once said, "Be careful who you step on the way up, because you'll see them on the way down." So, I mean, and I think that's good advice. I mean, um, though you'll come across people you don't like, come across people you don't believe in their ethics or how they do things. Um, but dealing with those people as professionally as possible, I think, is best.
Treat others with the way you want to be treated. Great quote from you as well. I think that's in the professional world, let alone just living in day by day. Those are important key things to kind of note.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's sort of core to who you are and how you live your life. And if you um, can do that in the business setting, and don't compromise your principles to just necessarily get to that next level, I think that at least for me, that was important. I mean, my family was important. Not leaving Southern California was important. I turned down a lot of really, really great opportunities um, in New York and in other places. But I'm really glad. And then I got, a lot of traveling, and I did jobs where I was in New York City for 1 week a month. And that stuff you have to be prepared to do in this industry. But, you know, Southern California is important. My wife was born and raised there. My kids were born and raised there. Like, um, I just never wanted to necessarily live anywhere else.
The weather's here is great, except for this past weekend. This past weekend was really bad.
This whole couple of weeks has been a little weird, but we'll take it. We need the rain.
That we do. So going off of that, where building relationships is very important, and keeping everything organic while kind of living and understanding where we need to go projection wise towards our careers and what we're hoping to do. What are some advices you would have for other students or even young professionals trying to enter the sports industry, being that it's so big but yet so small?
Yeah, I think again, doing everything that you can to differentiate yourself. There's so many. Like I honestly, and I believe this 100%. If I was starting out in this industry today, I never would have made it. Like I never would have got in. I never would have got an interview. I never would have got. I couldn't afford an intern when I played sports. I had to work in the off season. Um, I didn't know about the industry. Like I knew sports, and I knew um, everything about him as a fan, but I didn't know about the business of it. And I just, like I said, I was a marketing major with the emphasis on advertising, and I knew I wanted to do something in that space, but I just kind of lucked into it, and sometimes you take advantage of the luck, but nowadays it's such a much more rigorous and structured industry that it's hard to get in that way. So I think how you can differentiate yourself, whether it's volunteering at your school, in the athletic department, working on the business side. Um, Internships are great. Like not everybody's, you know, able to do that. They're all paid now, which is good because when I was younger, they were unpaid internships. But just how to get that internship, you're competing with so many really bright, smart uh, people from all over the country. We have a great internship program here at the Padres that we hire um, about 12 to 16 every year, and we have thousands upon thousands of resumes to go through to narrow it down to the 4 or 5 from each department that we'll end up interviewing. So that's important. Keeping relationships with people that you're working with in athletic department or whatever job or whatever starting job you have. Not just your bosses either, your coworkers um, and other people, because like I said, you never know who's gonna get what break and be what place, and those are just like on the in baseball it works too on the field. Like coaches hire or managers hire coaches that they know as players or that they knew competing against. You know, people like to hire people that they know or know a little bit about. So just the wider you can make your circle, um, and then just be patient. Once you're in, it's a slog. Like you have to grind every day, and you have to really differentiate yourself to get that next step, and then to get that next step after that, it's even harder. So um, if you're chasing the title, if you're chasing the money, there's ways to do that, and you can hopscotch across the country, probably taking steps up. So and that's fine, and people do it, and it's good. Or if you're just chasing the work and making sure you're as good and as prepared as you can be for any future role that may open up.
Great advice. Definitely have to be mindful of what your internal goals are and end goals are within the career itself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So going off of that, then, while you,
And one other thing I would just say, because and it's changed. I mean, the pay in the sports industry is a lot better now than it was even just 5 years ago. I think that's one of the changes in the world, and actually COVID's helped. With the labor shortage, to compete in the labor market, sports teams had to really raise their game a little bit to get folks. Um, but I do think that you probably aren't going to get the highest paying job to start. Like as far as maybe in a different industry, you'd start out making more money. I know when I started, it was a lot different, but probably for the first 10 years, I was making a lot less than my friends that graduated and went to work at like McDonnell Douglas or an ad agency. But in about 5 to 10 years, I had caught him and then passed him. And then I loved what I did every single day. And I don't know, I can say that about them.
you love what you do, and then you ended up surpassing them. I mean, you won that one, right, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. As we tail into the end of the interview, there's one thing I would love to ask you. From your careers starting off while you ended and graduating from Cal State Long Beach, go Beach. You started your career off at the Lakers, you moved to the Kings, going to the World Cup for soccer. You made your way to Galaxies, Dodgers. You really kept your career down in Southern California, making it all the way up to the Padres. Can you give us one highlight or one huge accomplishment that just comes to mind, something that is very memorable for you?
Yeah, that is really a tough question. I feel like I compare myself a little bit to I don't know if you probably maybe too young to see the movie, but Forrest Gump. Like I've been in so many awesome places where something really cool and incredible has happened, whether it was the Showtime Lakers and back-to-back championships. I mean, I have 2 championship rings, which I'm really cool that I have 2 since I have 2 kids. I can split it up evenly, but uh, um, to being with the Kings when Wayne Gretzky came over and changed the face of hockey in North America forever. I mean, it led to expansion teams in Anaheim and in Dallas and Miami and in all these Sun Belt cities that it would never have in a million years had hockey had it not been the way Wayne like revitalized that industry and changed. Like we sold out every game for 2 years. During the Gretzky years while we made a Stanley Cup championship run. To the Women's World Cup, the famous, Women's World Cup, was still to this day the largest women's only sporting event in the history of the world. We sold out every stadium from the Rose Bowl to, you know, to Soldier Field to New York. So that was really cool. Getting to run my own team as a Galaxy for 2 years and getting it to two MLS Cup finals, hiring a coach that went on to be a Hall of Fame coach and unfortunately recently just passed away. That was awesome. Been working for the team, my boyhood team that I loved and watched every day, the Dodgers. It was kind of a dream come true. Now there's not a team I hate more than the Dodgers, but and then being down here and trying to chase a ring. I don't have an MLB championship ring, and to have a chance to win that here in the place that we love, and that's really special. The Staples naming rights deal, I think, from a career thing was probably the most memorable thing. I had done the Motorola patch deal we did. We were the first team in baseball that we've done here. Did that, last March. I think. I mean, it was more money than the Staples deal, not over the term, but on a per annum. So that was, I think, another highlight. And there's been a lot of other ones along the way, but those would probably be the two biggest deals. And I've done been fortunate enough I've done 5 naming rights deals now. I've extended the one here at Petco with Petco Park. So those are fun deals. And, in my role, they're a lot of fun because it takes a lot of creativity. You're throwing a lot of zeros around. So you need to build the right package with the right emphasis on the right, on the right research. So those are always the more complicated, kind of the more fun for me. But so a super long answer to not a very long question was that. Sorry. It's hard to, take 30 plus years down to one moment.
I mean, your career and everything you've been able to experience, I would love to hear all about that. It's all great stories and great moments for you. So Sergio, with that being said, we appreciate you taking the time out of the day, especially right now with everything going on with the Padres. We hope the best for them. Great season for you guys. Thank you so much for taking your time, giving us some insights as students, alums, future young professionals in this industry. Would you care to share your LinkedIn with everybody else so they can connect and follow your career?
Yeah, that's not a problem. And Dexter, thank you for the time and for what you guys are doing. It is important to continue to bring in talented young professionals, and it's important to bring, we never really touched on it, and I don't know that we want to, but it is important to bring in people that are from all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities. When I was in hockey, I would go to these board meetings as a director. I was, and I'm Cuban is my ethnicity, and I was probably the only non-white male in that room for lots of years. Even in Major League Baseball, where 30% of the players are Latin, there weren't very many business executives. So I think that's really important. And the rise of women in the sport industry has been massive, which is great. We're still probably a little bit less than what we need to be on the business side as far as minority representation, but I think that's changing and that's important, and it's something that I hope to see before I leave this industry.
It's a hope that we all hope to see going into it. But thank you again, Sergio. We appreciate it, and great season for you guys coming in, and I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Thanks a lot, Dexter. You guys take care.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.